Today's Pacific West podcast is brought to you by the Granger Company, a full-service commercial real estate company specializing in the leasing, sale, management, and purchasing of commercial real estate in the Los Angeles County area. Our host today, Bill Fox from Breakwall Financial, correspondent lender for Pacific West Mortgage Fund. Mark Granger with Pacific West Mortgage Fund. So, Bill, this is a big subject. It's one that there's a lot of misunderstandings in the brokerage community for sure, in the mortgage brokerage community for sure. So tell us a little bit about what you're running into with the mortgage brokers.
Well, a lot of times we run into brokers who have been brokers for 20 years and they're just not even really familiar with the Phase 1 environmental reports. And it's not that they're lazy or didn't want to learn about it. A lot of guys, a lot of agents, brokers are doing residential type properties, and they have a client who has a commercial property and they want them to handle that as well. Well, they're not up to speed on what a Phase 1 environmental report would do for them. And it's really critical that we spend time educating brokers on how that works.
Okay, so that's a good point, Bill. I think that what we run into on the side of Pacific West is that we almost always do these reports on properties, or we ask if there was one done within the last couple of years, as you know. And sometimes they're available and sometimes they aren't. And oftentimes we're asked why we even need one, or who's requiring this? Is this a federal law? Is this a California law? And the reality is there really isn't any legal requirement to get one. Oftentimes, if a borrower, as you have pointed out earlier, if they're going to be exiting the property, meaning selling it to another party, or they're going to refinance with a bank loan, how many times have we heard, hey, we're doing this private money lending for 6 to 12 months, and then we're going to go to a bank.
Right.
Well, a bank's going to require one.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Right. So that's the gatekeeper, I think, are the financial institutions, state and federally chartered banks that are going to require this.
If you want to get an SBA loan, if you don't have a Phase 1, you're done.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that's on everything.
And that's where you get a good interest rate. So you really want to put yourself as a owner of a property in the best place that you can. You want to get the best interest rate you can. If you don't have a Phase 1, you don't have access to that.
Or you just can't get the loan at all.
Really, because a lot of hard money guys aren't even doing it anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Without the
we
Phase
see
1.
a few, which is always surprising to me that people are doing this. I guess they just, it's rolling the dice. But I mean, most of the time these Phase 1s never find anything. But boy, it's that 1 out of 100 times that it's just going to ruin your day. That's for sure. So let's talk a little bit about what's in these reports. Okay, you've looked at one?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the most important ones, as far as I'm concerned, are the past history and property of the property and its uses. So, we're talking about LA County here, Riverside, Orange County, San Francisco Bay Area goes back even farther. We are an industrial, commercial center, especially in LA County.
Oh yeah.
And we have been for 80 years. So you're looking at a piece of property, unless you're clairvoyant, you sure as heck aren't going to know what was going on that property 60 years ago. You had an example of this one time, Bill. I remember you talking about it, something about a gas station or something?
Yeah, we had, they have aerial photography, historical aerial photography. And there was this one instance where it was a corner property and they showed a Union 76 station on the property there, in 1925. And so it's just amazing they have photography going back that far, but that's what environmental and scientists will do, is go back and research all of that. They'll look and see what kind of permits were pulled to see if machine oil was approved for, disposal. That's how you can kind of build a history of what happened with that property.
Well, that's exactly right. And the other thing that we see a lot in California, Bill, in LA County, again, the poster child for this, lots of oil fields. So you have waste sumps, you have abandoned oil wells, you have situations where there's been heavy industry there for a long time, and it's just disappeared. A lot of this history, unless you're looking at aerial photos, you're just not going to know it.
And didn't the defense industry have a lot of properties here back in the day? And I think the government can use any kind of chemicals they want without any restrictions. So that those properties are probably really, really something that you want to dig into.
Well, we've had, this was the center of the aerospace industry in the world for 50 years. And they were all using chemicals there as cleaning solvents and cutting oils and all sorts of stuff. A lot of it's been discontinued. In fact, this is a good point to bring this in. How about this one? Perchloroethylene.
Good job.
You ever heard of that one? So perchloroethylene, whoever came up with that one,
Yeah,
the
really.
mad scientist down there at the Department of Defense. So this stuff is known by PERC. It's the best cleaning agent anybody's ever invented. It's used for machining. It's for electronics. It's
Well,
but
it goes through everything, right? Concrete just goes right through it.
it goes
Boom.
right through concrete. You know, you could have 6 feet of concrete. This stuff will go right through it. But where you come into it all the time is dry cleaning. And in fact, I'll tell you, if you have had anything dry cleaned in the last 30 years, your clothing has run through this stuff. It's the most common cleaning agent out there. The federal government this year banned it. So starting in January of 2025, listeners, no more PERC. The only people that can use it for emergencies only is NASA. That's
Wow.
it. The federal government published 57 pages of businesses that can no longer use PERC.
Is that right? Wow.
And not to just get into this, there's tons of chemicals out there. Forever chemicals. A lot of these fire retardants now, you're hearing about these chemicals. They never go away. Cutting oils, just oil in general, gasoline. They have a lot. The gasoline itself isn't the issue. It's the additives, benzene, xylene, all this stuff that's in these additives, is an issue now. And it's been around for a long time. These reports pick it up. So some of the other things I want to mention to you, neighboring properties. You're buying a property. It's been in the family for literally 100 years. You know the whole history. But guess what? Your neighbor 10 years ago sold it to somebody, was dealing with somebody that was using these chemicals unbeknownst to you, and they've migrated. And
we ran into one where the contamination migrated to the next property, and the people working in the front office were getting ill.
Yeah.
It worked out okay. I mean, but they had to mitigate it, and it cost a lot of money. But boy, you sure don't want to set yourself up for that.
Right, exactly. So the last thing that these reports give you is, are there any governmental agency reports on this, or are there any past surveys, or are there any past phase ones that were done? A lot of times these properties, these phase ones were started to be implemented around 1989, 88. So a lot of these properties have historically been using them for a long time. So a lot of property that you see now will have 3 or 4 of these reports that you can use.
And why is that? Is that because California adds new things to the list every year? And so
Precisely. And what happens is every time you get a bank loan, you're getting a new phase one. The latest, now you asked me, and that's a great question. How are these changing? So the latest version of a phase one requires what's called a vapor extraction study. What they're doing is they put these little sniffers in the ground all over the property to determine whether there's any chemicals there that are outgassing, that are expelling gases. Chlorinated solvents are a good example of that. PERC is definitely becomes it vaporizes, if you will. Petroleum products do the same thing, so they can really tell if a property's been impacted by doing these vapor extraction studies. By the way, Bill, I wanted to, because this is something that people ask me all the time, maybe they ask you, how long does it take to get one of these and how much do they cost, right?
Right.
So the vendors that we use, 7 to 10 days and about $2,500 for the phase one.
Right.
So it's now, the $1 million question is, why in the world would you ever get one? Okay. And the answer is, if you don't have one and you buy a piece of property or you come into title. So lenders, if you're out there, you don't require a phase one. You foreclose on the property, guess what? You're now on title.
And you're on because you have to do the mitigation if there's contamination there.
If you don't have a phase one, a clean phase one that provides you safe harbor, all those fun guys up in Sacramento, not fun guys, but fun agencies, the DTSC, the Water Board, LA County Fire is a good example. Those folks are going to be looking to you to clean it up. They're going to put you on the list of people that are financially responsible for cleaning these up. And it's really important for you to understand that this liability is unlimited. If that cleanup, I have seen properties. I had a gentleman who owned a battery recycling plant.
Oh boy.
Boy, that's a fun one, right? You can just imagine.
Yeah.
And he ran it there for 50 years. Nobody thought anything about it. It was in Carson. Carson wasn't even a city 50 years ago. And they came back and they said, hey, you've got lead all over this property. The tolerance for lead, by the way, is 0 right now. None. There's no, you don't get, 1 part per billion. You get 0 parts per billion.
Boy.
So the state came in and cleaned it up. And they went after that gentleman's estate. He had passed away, but the estate ended up coughing up, several $1 million to the state of California to offset the remediation on that.
I've heard they're relentless too. Right?
Oh, they never stop. Yeah, they just do not stop. So if you don't get these reports, you want to get a clean report. If the borrower already has a report, get it assigned to you. Just because they have a report that's for, Bank of America and you're now the new lender or you're the new buyer, that doesn't do anything for you. You have to get the report assigned to you in your name to get the safe harbor. It's extremely important to understand the liability that you're taking on if you don't have one of these reports. By the way, Bill, we're more than happy to give access to our vendors that do these.
We do. And we have got guys that we've used that don't have a trigger finger to put it into a phase 2. And so they look at it and give the right amount of information to where everybody's protected and to where it's successful for the client to refinance out of this loan and to get successful moving forward.
I think it's important, Bill, when you're talking about this, everybody's concern is, hey, I do this and I'm going to find something. And then the whole thing's going to come crashing down.
Right.
Most of the time, 99.9% of the time, you're never going to have a problem. This is a belt and suspenders thing. I would say you must have this.
Oh, yeah.
If
you don't, it's a tail wag the dog. Because if someone else finds it, you're down line and you have no control. This way you have control over it.
That's right, exactly right. And you can decide whether you want to move forward with the transaction or not. That's the other thing. Fine, you want to move forward with it and take the risk, well, then that's up to you. But at least you know what you're getting into, right? Bill mentioned the phase 2. That's the next step in the environmental process. We're going to be talking a lot about environmental phase 2s and actually phase 3s, and then what's called the no further action letter, which is the golden ticket if you have a problem and how to get out of it after you've done the whole remediation. That's for another day, however. So I wanted just to reiterate, get one of these phase 1s. If you don't know who to talk to about it, give us a call or email either Bill or myself. We'll get you in touch with the right people. Let's keep you out of trouble, get the transaction done. It's a simple process. So, Bill, thanks so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for helping to educate the brokers on this. It's very important.
And it's an important topic. Yeah. It's just so critical for people to do this right and make sure they stay. God, this is such a mess if you do it wrong.
That's for sure.
Brokers, mortgage brokers, we love you out there. We want to work with you. Contact Bill or myself. We have a whole host of new brokerage programs going forward this year in 2025. We're excited to get you into our program and start submitting loans for us. Also, we're going to be covering a lot of topics. We talked about the phase 2. We're going to be talking about bankruptcies. We're going to be talking about marketing. We're going to talk about how to document loans. Some of the vendors that we're using to do this. We're out here. We want to be a source of information to you. So please stay in touch with us. Keep listening, keeping tuned in, and thank you very much.